Hello, everybody. Welcome to the program today. My name is Sarah Bryant. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at dbaPlatform, where our goal is to get you found. And today we have a super special theme for our webinar. Now, normally we talk about all things sort of local SEO. And today we have a super niche topic, which is vehicle inventory ads. So Ryan McAllister has put up a nice poll for us early on here. And what we'd like to know is, for our attendees today, how many of you manage local presence for the auto industry, either because you're an agency that works with auto and rooftops, or you are a dealership yourself? Because what we're going to talk about today really impacts auto inventory ads. It's a new Google pilot. We're also working with Bing on their ad service. So it's really important to know that this webinar information that you're going to learn today is so hyper specific to vehicles. And next month, we'll be back to sort of our more open SEO topics. So if you could fill out the poll for us, let us know if you manage local presence for auto. And then number two, if you've implemented any auto inventory online, be that just regular inventory or any kind of ad service. So we're just looking to see how familiar you might be with this pilot that just went public beta from Google. So what we're going to be talking about today is, Jan always takes us through the recent changes for Google Business Profiles, because we're trying to keep you up to date, to the minute, with what's going on in the Google local world. Then we're going to dig in and show you what this buzz is all about with vehicle ads. And this is, Google has had their alpha pilot, and now recently the beta opened, but that's been going on for months. Bing is also rolled out what they call their auto inventory ads. So we're going to tell you about that and what the opportunity is there. And then we always do our Q&A, which is a really exciting part of this monthly webinar, where you get to ask your questions. And I'll just point out that the place to do that is, if you open your Zoom controls, you'll see we have highlighted there the Q&A box, and right next to it, there's a chat. Put your questions for our experts into the Q&A chat, because there everybody can see your questions and upvote them, and we'll take the questions that are the most popular earliest at the end of the webinar. If you need to talk to Ryan McAllister, get a link, tell us that you're having an audio problem, please use the chat function, which only our panelists will be able to see and answer your questions there. So if it's questions about the content, anything that Jan or our expert Ryan are going to say today, you'll put it in the Q&A chat so that everybody can see what you're asking and upvote your question. Now, I'd like to introduce our panelists for today. Now, Jan, he is a celebrity in our world. If you've ever been to a webinar, he's always here with the most up-to-date information. And he is one of only a handful of platinum product experts for Google in the world. He was sort of handpicked for his knowledge and expertise, and he continues to support Google local, across all the different Google surfaces. You probably also may have met him in our private Facebook group, which we invite you to join and ask questions about local SEO. And then we have a really special guest today, and that is, if you have done anything in auto or in inventory at all with DBA, you will know the name Ryan Sandberg. You probably haven't seen his face, because he generally isn't on video with us at the webinars, but we're so happy to have him. And I want to tell you a little bit about Ryan's background. He is our local search manager at dbaPlatform, but Ryan manages our pro services division, which provides all the done-for-you optimization of Google Business Profiles. And as a part of our research and development unit, Ryan has led really extraordinary pilots. He is considered the leading expert in inventory management and verification in Google. His boots on the ground operation, which is literally boots on the ground in retail stores. He has teams of people who have gone out and done inventory, checking. And so he does these syncs for thousands of locations. And he's helped earn the local feed partnership integration, which allows DBA to have a trusted status in instant verification with Google. So his expertise in the inventory program in Google, which is sort of previously known as See What's in Store, or Swiss, which is the inventory part of your Google profile, that led to this very nerdy nickname, but we almost never call him Ryan Sandberg. Around here, we call him Swissberg. And recently, Ryan was tapped to lead the vehicle inventory and ads pilot integration, which started as an alpha, and we'll talk about that in October, became a beta. So he's possibly the foremost expert on vehicle inventory ads. With that, I think I'll introduce Jan to talk just a little in general about this program and how it fits into the local profile stuff. And then we'll hear from Ryan about how these programs work and kind of the interesting story of the pilots and the manual process and how we're coming to automate all of this. And I'll interrupt with the poll results as soon as I get them. But if you haven't figured out the poll, please let us know if you do any sort of management of vehicle dealership stuff, and if you have any experience with auto inventory online.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so before we get into the vehicle ads, I always do some news or some new categories in the GBP. So this month, there's a few categories that you probably won't care about, but there's actually the secondary school, education, and Arab restaurant. But interestingly enough, it doesn't happen very often. There's a new dealer category. Now, the Cooper dealer is, I think, a subsidiary of the Volkswagen, and I think it's only in Europe right now, so it may not apply because our vehicle ads are just for US. But it's interesting to know that Google does make updates even in categories for your vehicles, and so it's important to check that once in a while because you get the leg up if you have a new category that no one has yet and it fits, it suits, and you get to choose that before anyone else, then you get those boosts and rankings before it disseminates through the SEO ecosystem, I guess. So it's always nice to be at the forefront of the SEO knowledge when you come to these webinars where we try to help you do that. So we'll get right into the vehicle ads. Here's some great general information about the ads. I'm sure you're familiar a little bit with what it is if you're here, but we were the original alpha partner since October, so we've been onboarding and communicating directly with Google for many months already. So we have a lot of insight into how to do this properly. They beta launched in March 11th, so that was more where other people can apply, but it's still open to only select dealers and agencies at this point in time. And so Google is really automatically serving these ads to shoppers with high intent searches. So the searches that are coming, a certain, car brand near me or for sale near me. So the ads don't always show up like the search ads do, but the vehicle ads show up really for high target intent keywords. And they're similar to shopping ads where we connect an inventory feed for you and it'll automatically populate these ads. And we'll go through all the details visually in a few moments. Here are some stats. So it's important to get your ads up on Google. There's more and more people obviously searching online for cars and checking and comparing and doing all that research, right? So last year, and these are numbers that Google had on the Google side, right? 89% of new car buyers research their new vehicle online. That's somewhat obvious. I don't know who those other 11% are, but it's kind of strange. 16% of new car buyers just bought their car straight through online. They do all their research. They don't even walk into a dealership. That's the one I want, and then they purchase it straight through the website online, right? So
hey, Jan, by the way,
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to let you know that here's the good news. 85% of the attendees today do manage local presence for auto, and 70% have implemented auto inventory or ads online. So we do have a really knowledgeable group here today. If you're not a part of that majority, bear with us if you want to hear about auto, but also know that if you have questions about other programs, we'll probably get to them on the next webinar when we'll go back to the local SEO stuff. But so good, we have a good audience of people who know. If you know you have questions about vehicle inventory ads or just auto inventory in general on Bing or Google, go ahead and put your questions in, and we'll handle them. And we now know that you have some experience.
Awesome. So we'll go through some visuals and get everyone on the same exact page. But really, the inventory ads lets you, go directly to the consumer. Before, people would do their research and go to cars.com and Edmunds and try to get pricing, and then maybe they would go to a dealership and say, can you beat this price and match this and all that kind of stuff. So now you can go directly to the consumer without them having to do the research elsewhere, and hopefully they come to you, right? So that's the real huge bonus that you're getting with these direct vehicle ads. So let's take a look at them. Just like I said, not everyone may be familiar with how they display. So this is how they would search on desktop. These are the vehicle ads up top. So there's a lot of good information here. There's the year, the image, the price, as opposed to below that are the regular search ads that everyone is used to, where it's a lot less targeted, right? The vehicle ads are highly targeted. If you type in a specific model car, that's what's going to get returned if that's in your inventory, as opposed to lower down where you have generic search ads. So the intent isn't even as strong. So it's really, really more important. And what's even better, and we'll go through some of the pricing later, is that the vehicle ads are a lot less. They cost a lot less than the normal search ads. So they're about a quarter of the price from some of the numbers that I've been seeing. So you guys might have a better idea of what your search ads cost, depending on the competitiveness of your market, but it's really a lot less in ad spend. This is how it looks on mobile. So very similar, right at the top, hugely prominent to everyone that's searching for a new car or used car. And so you're really getting the visibility right at the top. And here is, I just want to make a distinction. So there's some confusion between the auto inventory ads, which shows up at top, and the inventory feed that can show up in your Google business profile. So the inventory that shows up in your Google business profile is kind of like products that are there, and it gives you a shopping experience. And if you click through here, so they will see, your whole inventory of your dealership potentially, but they have to find your knowledge panel first, right? They have to search your name, click through here, and then they can look at your vehicles. Whereas in the vehicle ads at the top, they don't know who you are yet. They're just looking for a specific car. And so that's where you're finding the new people that don't know about you yet. So that's the difference between the cars for what Google calls cars for sale inventory and the vehicle ads. To make that a little bit more confusing, Bing has the same exact program as Google. So you connect your inventory, you can have it on your listing, you can create ads with your inventory, but Bing calls their ad program cars for sale, whereas Google calls their Google listing inventory cars for sale, but it's not the ads. So hopefully I'm explaining that in a clear way, but
you're explaining it
Bing is the ad.
just as confusing as it actually is. That's perfect.
Yeah. So either way, you're connecting your inventory, and we can connect it to your Google listing. And at the same time, we take that feed, we can create ads on Google and on Bing. And on Bing, you can see they're not right at the top. They're right now they're on the side, but you know how search is. It keeps on changing. Google will change and move things around. It depends on how it displays on desktop and mobile. And Bing will do the same thing. They usually copy Google, to be honest. And right now, I know about 15% of the searches in any search comes through Bing. So it's like 85%, 80% Google, 10%, 15% Bing, and then there's DuckDuckGo and a few other things. So the older people use Bing because they're kind of stuck on Microsoft, where they they put the browser and they don't know how to change it, but 15% use Bing. So it's not something to be ignored. And we can also connect to Bing as well is the basic idea here. So let's keep going here. So let's look at some numbers. Why should you use those ads as opposed to the regular search ads? So Google is in its documentation says it had a 25% increase in conversions compared to search ads. So right when we looked at before all the vehicle ads and then you had your local search ads, Google is saying they're getting a 25% increase in conversions. Now with our own data, we have tons of data, but I just pulled out three locations. This is a dealership in Wisconsin. They have 3 locations. And here are the numbers. We have over the case of 1 month, we have 1.3 million impressions, 5,500 clicks, almost 5,000 conversions, and it cost them an ad spend a little bit over $4,000. And when we look at that, it comes out to about 74 cents per click and 84 cents per conversion. So the conversions, and we'll talk about that, how you measure that it goes through your Google Ads platform. So you can set the conversions the way you want to, but 74 cents per click is a lot lower than what you'll be paying for a search ad, right? I've done some research and I know that for newer vehicles, you could be paying up to $4 or $5 per click on those local search ads, and they're not even highly targeted, right? So now we're paying a fraction of that, and you're looking at the vehicle that they're really specifically searching for. So the chances of them actually calling you or contacting you in some way are a lot higher than just generic search ads. So this is really amazing for agencies and dealerships to get in on this. Here is how it would look in how we're tracking, right? So all the information pulls into the Google Ads. Like, so if you're familiar with Google Ads, it's going to have the same format, the same information there. And again, you can see some examples here. We have another agency. They spent $1,000 and their average cost per click was 61 cents per click, and they have 1,500 conversions. Again, you can set your conversions to page views, form fills, so you have control over what you're counting as a conversion. So in this case, 61 cents per click is even cheaper than the 74 cents per click. So it's really an awesome program to try to get into before your competitor dealers get into that. So I will hand it off now to Ryan. He knows all the details of the setup and all the connections we need to do. So Ryan, why don't we start talking about all that technical stuff a little bit, and then we'll keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So this diagram here is just kind of showing the key features and everything that's needed for us to get vehicle ads live and running. Google Merchant Center, Google Ads account, website verification, conversion tracking, and the Google Business Profile. Jan, if you want to go to the next slide. So here's kind of the whys and hows of everything that I just mentioned. So the Merchant Center is actually created by us, managed by us. You don't need to worry about creating your own Merchant Center account or dealing with any of that. That's all done by us. And why we need a Merchant Center account is that's actually where the vehicle ad program it lies, and that's where Google keeps it. And then we go ahead and create that for you. Again, handle all that for you. And then the Google Business Profile, we do need that because that's going to be the location's identity, and that sets the geo radius of the ads. That's kind of an interesting thing with again, setting up your ads is the Google Business Profile is actually going to be the location's identity. You can still do keyword targeting. You can still add that in Google Ads. Google kind of recommends you don't need to, but you can definitely do that. We can actually, how we're going to get link the Google Business Profile in our Merchant Center account is all you need to do is give us the email that has manager identity. So that's a new process. If anyone in here in this webinar has done the process with us already, this is actually brand new, and this is going to be a lot easier for both you and us. The Google Ads account, that's actually managed by you, and that's where you're going to create and manage the VA campaign. We get access to the ads account by you providing us the Google Ad ID. We request access, and then you approve. So with website verification, that's actually in Merchant Center and is a requirement by Google. A lot of auto dealers didn't really have to deal with this because they didn't go through Merchant Center. But Merchant Center does require website verification, and basically it's just saying the proof of website ownership and the right to promote goods. How we can do that is an HTML tag, and that's a script that goes onto a website. We can also try some different ways, which we've seen some trouble with, is Google Tag Manager and Analytics. Conversion tracking, the VA pilot right now requires a conversion method for optimization, and that's just some more stuff that you're going to be putting on the website, such as a pixel on website and all VDPs to count traffic. We can go on to the next one. So this here is all the requirements for the inventory feed and all the attributes. So you can see all this stuff listed here. And really, when you're creating the campaign, you don't need to. It's just so simple because all the information is already here. Like Google has all the information. So if you look at the right, it has the title, the miles, the price. So it's a super simple, ad campaign to create because Google basically has the information already from your feed. We can go to the next slide. So here's some questions and answers. I've already seen someone ask, what is this available in Canada? Right now, the vehicle ad program is only available in the United States. Can an agency or dealership do this directly with Google? That's a great question. Right now, agencies or dealerships have to apply via a form from Google, and it's per location and per Merchant Center account. And right now, I've been hearing that it looks like Google's getting a little slammed with that. It might take 3 to 5 days to be able to get just one Merchant Center account approved. Whether or not they approve you, I am unsure since we don't go directly that route, but that's how that would work if you tried to go through Google directly. How much does it cost? So the inventory feed portion of it, that cars for sale portion where it goes on your business profile, that costs $35 a month. That includes the auto inventory and all other DBA platform features. And then the vehicle ad portion of it and the feed management and support, that costs $100 per month per location. And is white label available? Yes, this can be white labeled. How does the ads bidding work? That's a good question too. It's automatic bidding by Google. So the higher the ad spend, the better positioning. So you're probably thinking, okay, how can I get all the way over to the left? Really, it's all Google's algorithm and how much you have in your budget. How does the geo targeting work? Google is going to determine that off the Google Business Profile location. Again, you can input location targeting. Google doesn't recommend it, but sometimes if you're 15, 20 miles out from a city, like a major city, you can obviously put the major city in there. But what I've seen is that ads are reaching out about 25 to 30 miles with no location targeting, just having your Google Business Profile as the location. So what ad budget is recommended? So Google has told us that $50 a day is the minimum. That is definitely the bare minimum, because if you do go below $50 and it's a brand new ad account, you could have some trouble serving the ads initially, like getting off the ground. So we like to say that $50 a day is the minimum. Right now, also, we've heard from Google recently that $100 a day is going to be good for the optimal results, just so the algorithm and bidding can work through the process and make sure that you're being displayed. And also a good thing, DBA Platform does not take a cut of the ad spend. It's just that one-time fee or the monthly fee that we talked about of $100. How are the goals measured and basically all the reporting? That's going to be all through your Google Ads account and website analytics, etc. What vehicles can be added to the inventory feed? Right now, at this moment, it's only cars and trucks, no RVs. It can be new and used as well. Just recently, I believe about a month ago, they started rolling out new cars, so the new and used is available. How does the inventory feed work? So you can get us the inventory feed via FTP, and that'll be uploaded daily, or you can do website scrape. And how long does this whole process take for getting you live for the program? Typically, we've seen about 2 weeks. It could be quicker depending on how quickly you get us everything, because we do have to do some of that linkage. We need the website verification, the business profile, the ad account, that stuff. So depending on how long that beginning portion takes, we've seen about 2 weeks, but we have seen as quick as 5 or so days. Can we customize the feed? Yes. In Google Ads, there is some options for customizing, such as if you just want to do new, you just want to do used, or you just want to do a certain type of car brand. If you just want to do Hyundai, etc., you can do that stuff. That will be customizable in Google Ads.
That question was just asked by Bobby in the chat. Can you filter if you want to only run your used inventory? Yes, you can.
There you go. Perfect timing. Couldn't be better.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide.
Well, that's it. We got that's all of our preset questions. We'll go ahead and answer any questions that people have. That we didn't think of.
Yep. So to summarize, a couple things. What makes the vehicle inventory ad so exciting is a couple things. Like Google is allowing dealerships and their agencies to sort of take back control of their own, promoting their own inventory. So instead of going through third parties to aggregate all of your inventory and then they take a cut of it, this puts the control back to you. Another cool thing about vehicle ads is that, the thing about inventory is that inventory becomes, and we don't talk about this enough, I think, inventory becomes keywords for your profile. So where your business profile without inventory only talks about things at a general level, once inventory is loaded in, before you even do ads, when the inventory is there, now your profile will come up for very specific inventory terms. And that helps your optimization. Now, I don't, just thinking about some of the case studies that we've done recently, that inventory can double the impressions that you get just on an organic basis. Then the ability to run ads on those, obviously puts you in a really nice position at the top of the search with your inventory on top. And as Jan showed, it's really even above the shopping ad section or the ad section. So it's, you get like this really nice placement. And there's no creative work to it because the feed itself creates the ad. So the ad is just a combination of the photo and the details about that vehicle. And so there's no work to it. And Google has gone further. Now there's a little bit of controversy about whether or not what Google has done to make their smart campaigns sort of foolproof. So if you're in the ad agency space, you like to see all manual options available. What Google is saying is that they have optimized for each location the sort of geofence for you, so they know where to serve it, how to serve it, and things like that. With any inventory ads, you do run into, you can only spend as much as people are searching for that item. So that's kind of a nice thing, is like you can't really overspend in inventory ads because serving the ad is precipitated by somebody actually searching for that vehicle. So you can't really overspend. If you hit your max in Google, you still have the same opportunity to go over to Bing and boost yourself by 10 or 15% over there. So those are some of the things that make the vehicle inventory and the ads that go along with it kind of an exciting program. I will say, I think in like, what's funny to me is Ryan Sandberg, who we call Swissberg, works probably 14-hour days fixing and tying together these pilots because they are very, very manual. And when he says, we have to put together 5 things, an ad account, a Google profile, a merchant center, the feeds, the inventory, and all these pieces, along with website verification, because Google wants to know that the inventory that it's showing as a particular location actually belongs to that location and isn't pilfered from somewhere else. So there's a lot of connections that have to happen. He showed it in an illustration as 5, but there are probably 400 steps to getting VLA pulled together correctly so that the ads actually serve. From October until recently, that was a very, very manual process. because of like sort of instant verification and some of the other tools that we've acquired along the way, that is now sped up to being about a 2-week process. But it's, it's still very manual. Google, we have to be in contact actually with Google, talking to them, getting locations turned on and things like that. On the question of can you do it by yourself, that it is so funny because again, I don't think that we've impressed, like, there are very, very big agencies that have, hundreds or several hundred locations who have tried to do this on their own, have sought with Google to do it, and then, they're tearing their hair out, and then they come to us and say, can you help us get this program live? Because it actually is pretty tricky. And, not only agencies, but I mean, lots of sort of bigger entities have sort of thrown their hands up and said, we tried, we can't do it. So to be like a smaller agency, and people are asking, like, has this gone public yet? It is public beta. To be able to try to hook everything up by yourself, I think is a Herculean, possibly impossible task. So, save yourself some blood, sweat, and tears and, get a Google partner to do it with you. And with that, I'll jump into some of the questions. Let's see. It looks like some of these have been answered live. Let me jump in and see what happened here. Here we go. In Canada, yet we got, Tyler asked, is the auto program ever going to be available to the public? Never say never, right, Ryan?
Yeah. Yep. Never say never. I mean, I guess we're saying, is it ever going to be available to the public? I haven't heard anything from Google about, of timeline of that.
I don't think we're too close to that. I would think that eventually this could get tied into like shopping ads or something like that, where you could, like just turn it on and use it. I don't think we're anywhere close to that today. Sam says, Google is so finicky about the inventory feed. Will DBA help? Oops. Will DBA help with cleaning up the feed to ensure Google doesn't deny?
Absolutely, 100%. That is definitely one of the pieces of this that I love the most, is making sure that the feed gets verified by Google. But yes, we will definitely make sure that it's quote unquote cleaned up and up to Google spec.
Okay, Mark asked, what are your recommendations for conversions? We typically only track leads as conversions, not page views. So I don't know, Swissberg, if you want to handle that question, or we could have Ryan McAllister come on and talk a little bit about the conversion aspect that's required in the ad account.
Yeah. I mean, if McAllister wants to touch on this a little bit, that'd be great as far as a little bit of conversions.
Yeah, I could touch on that a little bit. So for conversions, we like to recommend that you do BDP page views, because that's what Google recommend to us. But you can always go the route of form fills, phone calls, etc. And you could always have them running at one time and, count all of them at the same time.
Conversions are a little bit touchy. Google does like to have, and when you join the program, we give you sort of like the best practices that not only that came from Google, because that stuff does change. Like literally today, we had a problem where, basically Merchant Center accounts were getting suspended and shut down. And, Ryan, we call him Swissberg, but last week I gave him the nickname of the Google Whisperer, because he's like the only guy that can actually get in there and talk to Google. And it takes him a while, because it's a little like the DMV. There's no concierge service to help you. You got to go dig around at Google to find the answers. And it comes back that sometimes the AI is just a little too finicky. And we're able to see when those things happen across the board and work with Google to get them fixed. And so with conversions, there is a similar thing that happens in the ad accounts with conversions, where Google wants to have VDP pages, or doesn't, or that changes, or they change something inside the configuration. In the beginning of the alpha pilot, they had different requirements than they have today. They also like for you to put in your complete, like, what is a lead worth to you? What is a form fill worth to you? The more complete your profile is, the better treatment you get in sort of the ad, in the ad portion of this. So we sort of write out the rules, and that is based on not only what Google says, but also sort of what we've seen in terms of, like, what's the best way to put down your conversions. Not every agency or every location has all that information. So we sort of give you some guidelines, because if you go outside of those guidelines, your ad accounts will get a little tangled up, and possibly not serve ads and things like that. We've seen lots of little bugs and glitches, and we kind of know how to avoid them at this point. But again, I mean, Google will even tell you that, like, this is new to them. It's manual. They're still figuring it out too. So we do hear about problems when they happen, and we try to give you the best information about conversions and things like that. Jennifer's asking some questions. Let's see. McAllister, maybe you can answer some of these, or maybe Jan, you can. So Jennifer says, I've noticed the ads are popping on non-variable keywords like Ford parts, Acura accessories, etc. I'm sure those have a very low click-through, but as a longtime auto paid search person, it's a little unsettling to see those being served to fixed keyword customers. Any info on how the program will be able to differentiate those consumer intentions?
I'll try and jump in here, but I think I haven't seen, like keywords like that for vehicle ads. I've seen pretty straightforward, like it's the brand and the make, or like I've seen it actually be not like what you're stating. Like if you search for Ford parts,
Swissberg argues with you, Jennifer.
No, Jennifer, I love you, but I don't. I see what you're saying, but I have not, from the time I've been doing this, I've seen like any funky keywords that people are searching to where like the vehicle ads would show up. I just haven't.
Although we have seen, I mean, there have been a lot of anomalies and things where Google hadn't exactly tightened all that down. And some of our partners that our agencies have brought things to our attention. I mean, we have our own ad experts doing kind of the concierge portion of this. And I don't know if you've met John, but he's our kind of Google ad expert who is a DBA, resource who works on these ad accounts. And he and Ryan McAllister, work on these accounts. We also then sort of, talk to other agencies and see what's going on. Because of the smart campaign aspect of vehicle inventory ads, a lot of people are not excited about the fact that you don't get as much control over your ad accounts as you want. But Google, promises that over time the campaign learns, and it can do this better than a person can. A lot of us who know a lot about ads aren't 100% sure of that. So I think some of the anomalies that happen have to do with the smart campaigns, and perhaps Google is moving outside of the fixed keywords to try some other things, and you might be seeing that. We see all kinds of things that we didn't expect to see. So we believe you that it happened. It probably isn't the norm, hopefully.
Can I ask a clarification question so it's not like other search ads where you can set your specific keywords and then put negative keywords, like you don't have any control over the keywords. Google just knows what the intent of searches are and will put the ads wherever it wants to when it thinks that people are searching for the right thing. So you don't get very specific control over like normal search ads. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Let's see. Dustin asked, could we run one campaign for all of our used,
Auto
inventory,
group
probably via our auto group website feed?
If it's one website, and it would be one ad account, that could be possible. Again, it is in beta, it is new, so there could be some bumps, but yeah, that would be possible. Would definitely have to talk to you a little bit more and get a little bit more information, but yeah.
Preston is asking if the GMB cars for sale portion allows new vehicles as well.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Jennifer just sent me an email and she said it happens all the time. So I would say, take screenshots and let's talk about it with John Bennett. And I mean, we can, to some extent. The cool thing at DBA, I mean, part of the reason that we got to do vehicle ads is because we were already doing retail ads. That's what Swiss is, or see what's in store. So we were doing Swiss ads, and we worked really closely with Google to kind of master that process and automate it. And we became an instant verification partner. And we're one of, Ryan, what did you tell me? We're the only global.
Yeah, local feed partner and local feed partnership integration. Yep, the only global partner.
So, I mean, we have been working on inventory for a long time. And then when vehicle inventory came along, it kind of put us in the perfect position because we were doing cars for sale, which is the inventory piece. And we were doing retail inventory. And then we were doing what's called local inventory ads, which is sort of the vehicle inventory ad counterpart in retail. So we had a lot of different experience going back. And so, we do get to have conversations with Google, and I'm going to say it's in no small part because our current CEO of DBA, Chris Lytle, is what he calls an ex-Googler, right? So he knows everybody there. So we are able to ask questions and get answers to things. So, Jennifer, just document some stuff and let's talk about what you're seeing.
I do see the screenshot, and yeah, I see it's Ford F-150. So Google's picking up the make and model, but it's obviously not picking up the parts near me portion. That's the first time I think I've seen the screenshot. So thanks for providing that. That'll definitely be looked into.
Yeah, Ryan's the Google whisperer who can go and find us an answer on that. Let's see. Mark asks, does DBA have a roadmap to support Bing AIA feeds in the future? And how does that feed integrate into MSA's business data? Actually, that's kind of an interesting question that you asked today, because Ryan McAllister just spent the morning. We do have Bing feeds set up and ad accounts that we're testing right now. And McAllister spent the morning on with Bing, going through. Now, Bing's ad accounts for vehicle are completely different. They are not smart campaigns like Google. It's a kind of a totally separate beast. And so does DBA have a roadmap to support Bing AIA feeds? Yes, we do support the feeds today, and we're working on integrating those with the ad accounts today. We will have the first ones live. Ryan, do you want to give any update on that, or am I accurate there?
Yeah, you're accurate there. Still working on the ad integration with Bing, but once that's all taken care of, we're going to be ready to start promoting auto inventory on Bing.
Ryan, I don't know, McAllister, if you can answer this one from Anonymous. Do you have conversion data to share for leads? Tracking conversions for page views is not realistic to most who will be spending the money required for these ads.
Let me try to wrap my head around that one. So right now, I don't have any data to pull on hand, but I do know a lot of agencies and dealerships are using multiple different conversion metrics to calculate their things, like VDP page views. That's the number one. But like I said earlier, phone calls, form fills, and all of that good stuff can also be used in the ad accounts. And you can track all of that through Google Ads and Google Analytics.
Yeah, you can set up, you should be able to set up goals in your Google Analytics and, funnel goals. So they came from the ad, they land on the page, they fill out the form, or they click the call phone number. You can set goals for that through analytics, either through events, through your tag manager. So you can really, you don't have to have the conversions in your ads platform, but in AdWords, but you can put extra goals in analytics if you want, so you can really report on what they do after they've landed that page. Did they scroll down? Did they go to other page? You can set all that kind of stuff in analytics after the fact, right?
The more you do that, even in the ad account, the better the program will work. The problem that we've run into is that most locations, they don't know the answers to what their goals are, what a particular conversion metric is worth. And so we're kind of dealing with like what's the minimum conversion metric that you can use. Google requires these conversion metrics to be, as specific as possible because it is a test for them. It's a pilot, and they want all that information. So our problem has been getting locations to be specific. So the fact that you actually want to know the conversion data or have some ideas about what it should be is good. Kevin asked, Google automatically sets the targeting to the entire US. Does the GBP location override that? And the answer is yes. I don't know if you want to get more technical with that, Swissberg.
Yeah, the answer is yeah. Yeah, it does.
It totally does. And in the ad account, when you set up the ad accounts, you can manually put a geolocation or a radius around the location, but you don't have to. Google is telling us that their algorithm is smarter than you putting that fence around. So if you do it, you can do it. So you can basically tighten the geo on it. But if you do, they're saying you're going to lose out a little bit because they kind of know for your location how far they should serve ads. Okay. Jennifer says, I've started to see some overlays getting disapproved now. Still not many. I know they were being super lenient to begin with. Any news on that front? And yes, actually, we just had a conversation about that. So Ryan, do you want to remind everybody what overlays are?
Yeah, so right now Google's official policy is no overlays on the images. So that's, car dealerships love to put basically like, the phone number or just an American flag or just tons of stuff over the picture.
Logos,
and, yeah, whatever. And right now Google is, their policy is super strict on that. And that's still honestly all kind of, up in the air. Like we've seen a good amount, right? Like 98% of all of our locations have gone through and they have overlays. But Google, when we were in the meeting with them, they did not want to budge. They like when I mentioned that to them, they were like, nope, sorry. Like, yeah, it's just our AI is not catching them right now. But let's say, down the road of, a month or two or three, they crack down on it, and then we're scrambling. So I haven't heard anything shifting really on my end about it, but it's a conversation I'd like to bring back up to Google to see, where they're at with that and if they're shifting or changing that policy.
Yeah, I mean, what they told us was like they had to be lenient in the beginning because that's how the photos were. Yeah. Like that's how the dealerships were saying, well, we can't retake photos of all of our inventory, so you're just not going to take our feed. And Google said, okay, we'll take your feed, but as cars come in, you got to get the overlaid like junk off of the photos and just show the car. And so that it's starting to change, but I have not heard a bunch of blowback about photos being disallowed. It will eventually happen. All right, Kevin asked a question. Is anyone talking to Google about the store code inventory issue? That's going to be a major pain point when scaling this to hundreds of clients.
I think that's a great question, because that's my favorite thing right now in vehicle ads, is this issue that you just mentioned. So to touch on this is your Google business page store code has to match the feed store code, and that's how Google just connects the two pieces. So the dealership, an agency, a software wants to change that store code, the feed goes down. And honestly, it's funny because the auto dealers are just getting into this, and the retailers are experiencing this. So see what's in store, the retail side of it, it's the same exact thing. And right now it is what it is. And I think you're just going to have to push the dealer, don't touch it, don't change it. But it is a topic I would like to bring up to Google to see, do they have another solution? Because it is a problem. It definitely is an issue right now with the vehicle ad and the feed. And that's the main reason why, if the feed ever does go down or you go down, it's definitely because the store code was changed. And it's funny right now, Google can't even have a 0 at the beginning of the store code, and it won't work. That's just how, like stingent their AI is. And so, but yeah,
right. It's actually, I don't know how to explain how hard it is to get this all to work correctly when it's when it's all new, even for Google. And so Ryan runs across these things if the store code has a 0 in front of it, so he'll be tearing his hair out for a day and a half trying to figure it out. And then we find out that this is a widespread problem. It's a known problem. Google has to fix it. There are thousands of things like that, which when people say to me, can you do this program by yourself? I would be like, I don't know how you could, because
fix
without
a car engine by yourself.
Right. Without access,
just go to the mechanic.
Right. It will eventually get where it's more automated, I'm sure. It's just not at that point today. DCN asked, can you use the existing feed that's pushed for the Google Cars tab?
Yes. Yep.
I suppose that's Cars for Sale is the existing feed we're talking about. Yes.
Yep.
Cars for Sale is what we use. Just looking for the next highest. All right. Zane said, okay, I'm interested. Typically, how much do you see an agency charging for this?
I have seen $300 to $500 or a month, or I have seen like a cut of the ad spend, like I don't know, 10% maybe, most likely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So a lot of agencies who do ads in bulk, they're basically, they're charging part of the ad spend to do it. I don't know who would have more information on that.
Maybe River.
Yeah, probably River would. We didn't bring everybody with us today. We should do that. So Sam says, our inventory is currently low. Should we wait before implementing the ads?
Curious as in like how low? Because I've seen dealerships with 30 cars. So I think that's kind of low, but I'm just curious, is low like 5 to 10? You can still do it. I don't think there's anything stopping you from doing it, but again, I think that would be pretty low. But I've seen as low as like 20 to 30 cars go into this program and work fine.
And Zane has two questions. One is, if a dealer can go to DBA directly, why would they want to use an agency? And the answer to that is that really, like, DBA is set up to help bigger agencies to smoothly set this up. In general, if we get a small organization with 1 or 2 locations, what we do is we help them go to one of the agencies that we work with all the time who knows how to do this with us, and we get them set up that way. And then the other question is, how can I show a dealer a presentation of this type so that they can understand? And we do have white label materials that you can use to explain and basically sell a vehicle ad program. If anybody's interested in learning more, or you want to get set up with somebody, we have Ryan McAllister is going to put a link into the chat where you can schedule an appointment with River, who is kind of our person who works with agencies to put these programs together, and he can answer more questions about, like, how do you charge for it? What's your opportunity? What size agency, gets what? Are you an enterprise, partner with us? And how all of that works. Let's see. Nikki asked, do you have plans for any sort of campaign planning tools to help with budget planning?
That's a great question. Not right now. We do have, like, obviously a deck on how to properly set up the campaign, but as far as like budget planning, no, because Google's kind of been pretty, like, not relaxed, but they haven't been too informative. It's been, $50 minimum, $100 optimal. But no, we don't have anything right now that could be discussed as like as a request.
Sam asked if we can include parts and accessories in this, or if that's a separate program.
That's a good question. I think that could be used for see what's in store. If the parts have UPCs, that's a separate program. It would not be for
it's the retail program. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Anonymous says page views as a conversion sounds like a great way for Google to justify spends. Right. That's a marketing spin. Money for lead conversion is the KPI you should be worried about. True. I'll just say that, like, dealerships are so excited to have the ability to not put their inventory through Car Gurus and cars.com and stuff like that, and to actually have the ability to get placement of their inventory that people are asking for specifically. People are not asking in general, like, is Honda a good brand? People are literally looking up cars, and they're able to find the locations, inventory, and then click through to the vehicle page, or that's actually attached to that dealership. The impressions alone is enough for the dealerships to be very super excited about. Getting to conversions and that kind of thing, like, that has not been an issue, but as a marketer myself, I understand exactly what you're saying. But just impressions alone, the program is, has been pretty popular. I don't know if anybody else wants to kind of add on to that. Swissberg, do you hear people complaining about their their ad metrics?
Not really. A lot of people were just hearing really good results. So, but no, I haven't had any complaints.
This is a technical question. I don't know the answer to this one, but Suman asked, it might sound basic. Let's say a person clicks one car ad and then he clicked the same ad after 2 hours. How many times will I get charged, once or twice?
Jan, would you know that? I would assume twice, but
yeah, I would say just like any Google ad, if every time you go to Amazon, if you search it on Google and then you click the paid ad, Amazon is paying for that click through. And I'm assuming that's the case here too.
I'm not super on like the ads part, but I know one Google session is usually 30 minutes. So I would expect, at least if it's more than 30 minutes, for sure, it would probably count as another click.
And Anonymous asked, are spaces allowed in the store code?
I'm going to answer that with a yes, but my personal recommendation is we at DBA do let's just call it 8 to 10 digits, numerical number, random. I don't recommend making the store code fancy with spaces, but it should be fine. But then again, that's just more reason for Google's AI to catch something that doesn't match. So they are allowed, but I would suggest doing just a 6 to 8 digit, numerical number.
Yes, with all these pilots, what's actually technically allowed and what we're gun shy about are the same things. So I hope that this was helpful. I'm glad that we got so many people who actually, I was afraid that because our webinars are attended by such a diverse group of people, I was concerned that the auto, being able to share the vehicle inventory ad stuff might be lost on people who don't have auto inventory. But it sounds like we had a great group of people. If you have familiarity with DBA, you know that we're here to help to scale your local presence, to be able to do things at scale if you're an agency and not have to manually do so much. We're here to kind of, dig into the niche of this very, local profile optimization. We have lots of tools to help with that. So if you need any guidance, feel free to make an appointment with one of our specialists to understand, how the platform can help you. We have lots of things coming out this quarter. We have some new reporting features that are pretty cool. And so we'll be bringing you next month, kind of our regularly scheduled SEO, local SEO content. But if you have questions about auto inventory, please join our private Facebook group where you can show us screenshots and ask questions, and and reach out to any of us who can help you with some of this. We're also feeling our way through the program as best we can because everything is new and it is changing all the time. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next month.
Guys.
Thank you.
Bye.